What is up, FPL managers guys? Today we are going to be looking at the best players to buy in game week 12. Now, we've got a lot of players to go through, okay? We're looking at 3 defenders, 3 midfielders, and 6 forwards because there are so damn many to choose from. So yeah guys, make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. Now we are looking at a lot of stats. There's a lot of confusing, abbreviations on the screen. Check the description if you're confused because I'll leave it all down there. First up guys, we are looking at Gabriel. Now Gabriel has a solid fixture and I know there's 3 grey fixtures in the next 4, but after those 4 there's another 3 greens. They don't have a real tough game until they play Tottenham in game week 21. And even in them grey fixtures, Arsenal are a solid team. They can dominate those slightly hard fixtures anytime. Now the expected data here, the expected goal involvements from Gabriel is not too high, but it never normally is for a centre back. The main thing we're looking at here is the defensive aspect, the clean sheet potential. And as you can see here, he's got really good defensive data. I mean, he's been very unlucky as well. If you look at the expected clean sheets, he's got 2.2 and he's got 0. Looking at the expected points, he's got 18 and he only has 8 actual points. So yeah, Gabriel owners have been unlucky. And I do expect Arsenal to actually be putting out the clean sheet soon because on paper, their defence is still really solid. They've just been getting unlucky. And with this good fixture run coming up, they're going to look to reignite their title charge. So yeah, definitely a team you want to be looking at a defender from. Next up, we got Veltman. Now, if you did bring in Veltman, okay, he would be a solid long-term option. A 4.5 million defender, you could rotate with other defenders like Ait Nori and Colwill, for example. In fact, the only reason Colwill isn't on this list as well is because I prefer the Chelsea goalkeeper Sanchez, but we'll talk about that later. Guys, Veltman has 5 greens in the next 7 games, 5 solid fixtures. The 2 hardest ones you see here is away to Bournemouth and away to Fulham, and I wouldn't expect much in those games. But looking at a defender to bring in, like I said, if it's not Colwill, Veltman is the guy to go for. Now guys, looking at the Brighton defensive data, it's not good, but they did just play Liverpool and Man City 2 games in a row, so you can't really expect much. And they've already got 3 clean sheets this season. I mean, it's not a lot, but they can definitely keep clean sheets in the easy games, which they have a lot of coming up. Finally, guys, we're looking at the Chelsea goalkeeper, Sanchez. Now, guys, Chelsea is the best team to target in FPL right now. I'm not going to lie. Their long-term fixture run is so good, but we'll talk about it more when we get onto the midfielders and the attackers. Because as for a goalkeeper, you really don't want to be looking at the fixtures anyway. You want to be looking at a player that you're not going to be transferring out until you use your next wildcard, because goalkeeper transfers are, let's be honest, a waste of time. Now, why do I like Sanchez the most despite his great fixture run? Well, because he has the 3rd most saves in the Premier League this season. And I know it doesn't sound that remarkable, but guys, the goalkeepers with the most saves in the Premier League are consistently goalkeepers who are in the lower teams, the teams who are really poor defensively. So they get a lot of save points, but they get a lot of minus points for goals conceded, and they don't get a lot of clean sheet points. But Sanchez is a little different, guys. Sanchez has the save points potential plus the clean sheet potential of a team pushing for top 4, because Chelsea are a top 4 team in the league this season. Let's be honest, they're playing well. So on paper, guys, Sanchez has the most potential for points for the rest of the season, in my opinion. Like I said, points for saves and points for clean sheets. So for me, that one's a no-brainer. That's how I like to pick my goalkeepers. I don't really like to pick it based on fixtures. I don't like to pick it based on, who the most popular one is, based on who is the cheapest. I do think Sanchez is the best goalkeeper to go for. On to the midfielders now, guys. Looking at Mohamed Salah, he is obviously the most essential player in the game. Everybody needs to own him. Get rid of Haaland, get rid of Saka or Palmer, whatever you need to do. Get Salah in your team. His fixtures aren't amazing, but it doesn't really matter. He's clearly fixture proof considering he's scoring in almost every game. Just beware, he is massively overperforming his expected data here, guys, overperforming it by almost 20 points. After him, we have another premium. We have Cole Palmer. Now, guys, Cole Palmer is not a fixture proof player like Salah, okay? In the tough games, he doesn't usually get many returns, but he has so much captaincy potential against all the smaller teams. And like I said with the Chelsea fixture run, guys, it is amazing. I talked about it more in a previous video. Go check it out. But essentially, these 4 games here, like you got 2 greens and a couple hard games as well. After these 4, there are 7 more green fixtures in a row. And I'm not even exaggerating. I'm not like this fixture run is genuinely amazing. The best 7 games in a row I've seen in my life. If you're not owning Cole Palmer for those games, you are surely, almost certainly going to go down in rank. So Cole Palmer is insanely essential, guys. I don't need to talk about his data or his stats. I mean, it is kind of low at the moment, but he always overperforms it. and he normally gets more expected goals and expected assists than this, but Chelsea have played a few tough games in a row, looking at the recent data, so it's understandable it's not too high at the moment. Also, I know some of you are going to be mad Saka is not in the top 3 midfielders to buy. I'll talk about it later when we move on to some more players. Finally, we have Semenyo. Now, guys, Semenyo, the Bournemouth, the fixture run is decent. It's not amazing. It's decent, you know, it's solid. It would be helpful to have someone to rotate him with, like Emil Smith-Rowe, because their fixtures go hand in hand together. But if not, you know, don't worry. His expected data is pretty solid considering the last 5 games have been quite hard for Bournemouth. He's got decent expected goals, although he is underperforming them at the moment, but that's not really a regular occurrence, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just a great, cheap midfielder to bring in your team, help you save money to afford the bigger players, like Salah and Palmer. And he is supposedly yellow flagged, but I would ignore that, you know, it's just precautionary. He is going to be fine, you know. Don't hold me to that, but I'm fairly certain he's going to be fine. On to the forwards now, guys. We are going to be organising this into 2 little sections, the mid to expensive priced forwards and the cheap forwards. First up, my favourite ones, the mid-priced forwards. Now, guys, looking at Isak here, if there is one player I could recommend you all to buy this game week, it would 1000% be Alexander Isak. Now, guys, first off, his data looks impressive. It's up there with the likes of Salah. It's really high. Lots of expected goals with a few expected assists in there. Now, here's what's crazy about the expected data, okay? We've been looking at the last 5 game weeks for recent data of all of these players so far, but Isak has only played 4 of the last 5. So he's doing this expected data with 1 less game than everyone else. But that isn't all, guys. Even more so, all 4 games he's played has been against teams inside the top 6. The best teams in the league. So imagine what he can do for you in the easy games. So yeah, Isak, #1 priority for everybody watching this. Next up with Jackson, guys, we already talked about the amazing Chelsea fixture run, and Jackson is obviously the second most likely player to be in the returns behind Cole Palmer here. He's already proven himself this season as a reliable, consistent goal scorer. And, you know, looking at the recent expected data, once again, it's not too high, but like I said, Chelsea did just play some tough games. I do expect it to pick up big time. Now, some of you are going to be confused. Why have I got Havertz in this video and not Bukayo Saka? Guys, I don't think Saka is worth 10 million, okay? I don't think Saka is a good captaincy option for the next 10 to 20 game weeks. I believe Salah and Palmer would be a better captain in every game week. I'm not going to bring in a player for 10 million if he's not going to be my captain. End of, okay? He's not coming in. He'll get you consistent points, but he's not really a captaincy player. But yeah, more onto Havertz now. Like I said with the Arsenal fixture run earlier, talking about Gabriel, it is solid, and Arsenal will be looking to reignite their title charge with this. So you can expect them going into these next 7 or 8 games to win almost every single one, or at least try to. I mean, they've been unlucky recently with some red cards, and they've played some tough games, so it's not been easy. This is the time they need to pick it up. And even with Havertz, the recent expected data is all right. It's not amazing, but they've only scored 3 goals in the last 4 games. So you can't expect it to be that high anyway. I expect Havertz to be a very solid differential long term because I don't think too many people are going to pick him up. On to the cheap forwards now, guys. Looking at, you know, the data first off, you know, the cheap forwards, they do look better than the mid to expensive forwards, okay? They do. And, you know, while they're great, they are still cheap forwards for a reason. They're probably not going to keep up with the other guys, but they're definitely going to be well worth their money because they're all very cheap. First one we're talking about is Welbeck. Guys, pick Welbeck over João Pedro, okay? I was on the fence last week about it, but now I'm 100% sure Welbeck is the better player, guys. Even when João Pedro was playing at the beginning of the season, Welbeck was taking all the expected goals. Welbeck was still getting loads of points. And, you know, Welbeck is an unattractive pick like Chris Wood was at the beginning of the season because, you know, he's been around for a while. He's an old Premier League player who's a little, you know, washed up, not as good as he used to be. So it just isn't an appealing pick. But guys, the fact is, he's getting the expected data, he's converting it into points, and he's reliable. The only cool thing about João Pedro is he's got penalties and, you know, he's injury prone and less reliable for minutes. So yeah, get Welbeck instead, guys. Cunha, guys, the next 6 games are amazing for Cunha. I know you may feel like you've missed the train on Cunha considering he just played home to Southampton and home to Palace, 2 really good fixtures. But the Wolves fixture run is still there, guys. It's still there to take advantage of. You're not too late to own him. And what's interesting about Cunha is, guys, he's actually more of an assist man now. Now he's playing as more of a wide player compared to last season. He was more of a forward. Just beware, he has got 3 goals from 0.8 expected goals and 0 big chances. So I wouldn't expect that to continue. But the assists are still going to come rolling through, and he is still very good value for money at only like 6.8 million, I believe he is. And finally, guys, we're going to be looking at like the biggest attacking differential here. We're looking at Evanilson. Now, we talked about Semenyo earlier. In all honesty, guys, I would prefer Evanilson to Semenyo. There's not much to split them, but I do just like Evanilson a bit more. The only reason I wouldn't go for him is because there's already too many other forward options to choose from. There's too many good ones. He has returned in the last 4 games, and they've been against tough teams, against Aston Villa, Man City, etc. You know, it's not been easy, but he's still been getting the returns. He's also like Isak in the sense where he hasn't played as many minutes as everybody else, so to still be putting out this expected data is pretty solid for a player only costing 6 mil. Anyway guys, that is the end of the video. Let me know what you thought of my suggestions. Do you think I've made some good ones, or do you think I'm stupid as hell, guys? Feel free to let me know. Anyway, if you made it this far, you are greatly appreciated, and yeah, I will see you in the next one.